50 gallons.
I don't think I've ever seen
Got our website.
How's it going, sir? You're probably wondering what you're looking at here. This is the world record holding for land speed record. We set it out at Bonneville Salt Flats a week ago last Friday. It went 47 miles an hour. And if you want to know more about it, you go to beaverenergy.com. And it is officially the world's fastest wood-powered car. My name is Chip from Beaver Energy. You are looking at a wood-powered car designed by Beaver Energy. It is basically a process called gasification, and we are running it on wood chips, or actually wood pellets today. You can run it on wood chips, and you can see we just run this car on wood pellets, and you put the wood pellets in here, and once the motor started, it creates a vacuum through here, and we light it through this lighting port. Once it's lit, it gets up to 2,400 degrees in here. A process called pyrolyzation starts, where it decomposes organic material rather quickly, turns it into hydrogen and carbon gas, which goes into this cylinder here for a little bit of cooling. Then it comes over here and actually gets filtered. The ash gets filtered out because the ash isn't really good for the motor. It comes out of this container into this bottom cooler, which does a little bit of cooling of the gas. This top one actually condenses the water out. There's a little hose that comes off there, and the water condenses down, and actually water's, if it gets somewhere else in a pipe, it's just a good place to empty it out there. Comes down this pipe here, where it feeds the motor, comes all the way down this pipe, comes into the bottom of the car. Across the front, there's an air mixing valve right here where it mixes oxygen. Until it gets to here, it's not flammable gas. Once we mix the oxygen here, it comes in under the air cleaner and goes directly into the motor, where this 3.8 liter supercharged motor runs with no modifications to the motor whatsoever. Well, there is one modification. We take the fuel pump fuse out, so the fuel pump's not working. It's a fuel injected motor. Once that's out, it won't start on gas, but it will run on the wood that we generate from the gasifier in the back. And that's pretty much how we do things here at Beaver Energy. Originally, back in World War II, a guy named Adolf Hitler, I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he took all the gas from Germany and Switzerland and all those places for the war machine, so they didn't have any gas at all. So farmers and city buses and stuff like that had no way to run their vehicles. So there were over 1 million vehicles in 1940 running on actually gasification, real similar to this. They had all their bus systems, taxis, all the farm tractors just kept running, and they were able to plant the food for the people and everything due to this technology. And somehow the government totally hid all this information, and it's rare that you don't see it in history books. It's really never talked about. Most people don't know anything about it, but I kind of ran across it through a magazine called The Mother Earth News back in the 80s. I read about it a little bit. I didn't really understand it, but then about 5 years ago, I had a car sitting in my yard that I needed to get out of the yard because someone was complaining about it. I won't mention any names. And so I built a gasifier out of some junk at the junkyard. It cost me maybe $100. And I was able to move that car out of the yard in gasification. And ever since then, we basically do shows, demonstrations at different places, colleges or what have you. And that's basically what we do. So we're not in it to make them. We're just here to educate people and show them there's an alternative way to power vehicles besides gasoline or fossil fuels.
So what are the positive benefits to this technology?
Well, one of the positive benefits is you could actually grow your own fuel. It would be grass, or you could get a hybrid willow, and you could make your own wood chips, or you could buy a pelletizer, which are relatively cheap these days, and you can make your own pelletized fuel. So you could grow your own fuel source and not only run your car, you could actually run a generator to generate electricity for your house, and also you could use it thermally to heat your house. So you could pretty much be totally off the grid, growing your own fuel, And so that's a big plus for it there. Plus, it's carbon neutral. It doesn't add CO2 to the atmosphere because the organic material is already on top of the surface. We're not digging it up from underground like fossil fuel. It doesn't add any CO2 to the atmosphere. So if there is global warming caused by CO2, which is sometimes skeptical because the polar caps on Mars are actually shrinking at the same rate they are on Earth, which leads you to believe that maybe it's not humans doing it. But if there is a problem, it is carbon neutral too, so that's another positive. Plus, you know, where the gas comes from these days, you really don't have a lot of control over the price, so it kind of helps you budget stuff as well. And you could probably go on and on about the benefits of organic fuel, but that's just a few.
What's the next phase?
Well, we're going to try to make a transatlantic flight on wood power. Maybe. Just kidding. Our next step is, you know, we try to make different things. Maybe we'll have some amphibious vehicle or perhaps motorcycle or something. But it's primarily we just do it for education, for, you know, just to show people that there's other things out there that that make more sense than perhaps maybe fossil fuels.
Chip got this started. He looked in the Mother Earth News in the early 80s, I believe it was, and saw the Mother Earth News article on gasification. And he was building a car for the Green Grand Prix in Watkins Glen and needed some help. I have a lot of welding equipment and a shop, and so we kind of got together, and that was 6-7 years ago, and we've been building these since then. So it's been a lot of fun. A lot of people really enjoy seeing the car and the demonstrations that we put on. And we've been over Pennsylvania, New York, quite a few places, and it's been a lot of fun the last 5 or 6 years.
Let's talk about this controversial world record.
Controversial world record. Well, there's really no controversy because we happened to hold it. We were the first ones to make the trip to the Bonneville Salt Flats, and it is a low target. It is something that there ought to be other people show up next year to compete with us and do their best to beat our next year's version. So that's what it's for, and that's what it's all about, is to generate a lot of discussion and talk and excitement about gasification and wood-powered vehicles.